What if the past you thought you had buried suddenly came knocking at your door? What if the love you tried to move on from was never really gone? And what if the person who once broke your heart was now the only one who could heal it? Amy Fleming has spent years rebuilding her life, learning to be strong for herself and for Lindy. But just when she thought she had finally found peace, Ty Borden returns, alive, real, and standing right in front of her. His presence turns her world upside down, reigniting emotions she swore she had let go of. But after so much pain, after so much time apart, can she ever truly forgive him? And then there's Nathan, a man who has stood by her, who has loved her without question. But now, with Ty back, he's facing a reality he never wanted to accept. Can Amy's heart make room for both love and forgiveness? Or will Ty's return change everything, for better or worse? Heartland Season 19 begins with the most shocking twist of all, a second chance at a love that was never meant to end. But with emotions running high and old wounds reopening, one question remains. Will Amy follow her heart or protect it at all costs? Amy never expected to see Ty Borden again, not in a million years. The last time she looked into his eyes, it was through the memories of their life together, the love they shared, and the tragic loss that shattered her world. She grieved, she healed, and she found a way to move forward. Not just for herself, but for Lindy. But all of that comes crashing down the moment she sees him standing there, alive, breathing, looking at her with the same deep eyes that once promised forever. But this isn't a dream. Ty is real, and his return doesn't bring the joyful reunion one might expect. Instead, it sends shockwaves through Heartland. Amy is frozen in disbelief, torn between anger, relief, and confusion. How could he be alive? Where has he been all these years? Why didn't he come back sooner? The answers don't come easily, and Amy isn't sure she even wants to hear them. Jack and Tim are furious, protective of Amy and Lindy, questioning whether this man standing before them is really the Ty Borden they knew. Lou is in shock, torn between her own emotions and trying to be there for her sister. Georgie, who once saw Ty as an older brother, doesn't know what to believe. But the person most affected, aside from Amy, is Lindy. She has no memory of her father, only stories, photos, and the love Amy has instilled in her heart. And now, the man she was told was gone forever is standing before her. Lindy doesn't know how to react. She sees a stranger, but something about him feels familiar. Ty reaches for her, his eyes filled with emotion. But Lindy hesitates. For years, it was just her and Amy. And now, everything is changing. The father she always longed for is right in front of her. But can she trust him? And Amy? She's drowning in emotions she can't control. She fought so hard to move on, to build a future for herself and Lindy. But now, with Ty back, everything she thought she knew is unraveling. And just when she thought things couldn't get more complicated, there's Nathan, the man who stood by her, the man who made her believe she could love again, a man who also loves her. What will Amy do? Can she let Ty back into her life? Or is the pain of the past too much to overcome? The weight of the moment is unbearable. Ty stands before Amy, desperate to explain. But where does he even begin? His voice is strained, raw with emotion as he confesses the truth. He never truly died. He was taken. A threat neither Amy nor anyone else ever saw coming forced him into hiding, a decision that kept him away from the people he loved most. But why now? Why, after all these years, has he returned? Amy listens, but her heart is torn apart. Every word feels like a betrayal. He was alive all this time. He let her grieve, let Lindy grow up without a father, let them suffer the unbearable pain of loss. When he could have come back, rage bubbles inside her, overpowering the love she once had for him. Love alone isn't enough to erase the years of pain, the lonely nights, the way she had to put herself back together without him. Jack doesn't hold back his anger. He steps between Amy and Ty, demanding answers. Why didn't he send a sign? Why didn't he fight to return sooner? But Ty has no simple answer. His past is tangled in danger, choices he never wanted to make, and an unthinkable sacrifice he believed was necessary to keep Amy and Lindy safe. But was it worth it? Lindy watches, silent but wide-eyed, trying to understand the man standing before her. She should feel joy, excitement. Her father is alive, but all she sees is the pain on her mother's face, the storm in her eyes. She tugs on Amy's hand, whispering, "Is he really my dad?" Amy's heart shatters. How can she answer that when she's not even sure herself? But Ty isn't the only one watching Amy's reaction. Nathan stands at a distance, his heart aching for her. He never expected to fall for Amy, but he did. He was there when she needed a friend, when she needed someone to lean on. And now, the man she once loved, the man who still holds a piece of her heart, is back. He watches the pain flicker across her face, and for the first time, he wonders if he ever really had a chance. Nathan isn't just heartbroken, he's furious. Ty left Amy to pick up the pieces of her life alone, and now he expects her to just forgive him? Nathan won't let that happen. He steps forward, his voice firm as he reminds Amy of everything she's been through, everything she's fought for. "He walked away once," Nathan says. "What's stopping him from doing it again?" Ty's jaw tightens. He doesn't blame Nathan for his anger, but he refuses to let him decide Amy's future. He looks at Amy, his voice softer now. "I never stopped loving you," he says. "I never stopped fighting to come home." But Amy doesn't know if she can believe him. The past is too heavy, the scars too deep. She turns away, her mind spinning. She loved Ty once. She still does in a way. But love doesn't erase the pain. And Nathan was there when she needed someone the most. Amy's mind is spinning, but amidst the chaos of Ty's return and Nathan's piercing words, she hears the smallest voice, the one that matters most. Lindy. Her little girl stands frozen, staring at the man who calls himself her father. Her tiny hands clutch Amy's sleeve, her lips trembling as she tries to make sense of it all. "You told me he was gone," she whispers, her voice barely above a breath, but the weight of her words crushes Amy's chest. How does she explain this? How does she make her daughter understand something she doesn't even understand herself? Lindy's innocent eyes flicker between Amy and Ty, desperate for clarity, for some kind of reassurance, but all she sees is confusion, pain, and anger. She takes a step back, then another, and then she runs. Amy's heart drops as she watches her daughter disappear into the barn. She wants to go after her, to hold her, and tell her it's all going to be okay. But how can she when she doesn't even know if that's true? Her legs feel frozen, her entire world unraveling in ways she never thought possible. She turns back to Ty, her eyes burning. "She doesn't know you," she says, her voice sharp, each word cutting deeper than the last. "She's spent her whole life without you, and you just expect her to run into your arms like nothing ever happened." Ty's expression darkens, the weight of her words sinking in. "I never expected this to be easy," he says, his voice low, raw. "But I had no choice, Amy. You have to believe that." But does she? Before Amy can respond, Nathan steps forward, his hands clenched into fists. He's had enough. Enough of Ty's excuses. Enough of the pain in Amy's eyes. Enough of watching Lindy suffer because of a man who chose to disappear. "You left," Nathan growls, his voice laced with fury. "And while you were gone, Amy and Lindy had to put themselves back together. You don't get to walk back in and act like that never happened." Ty's jaw tightens, his entire body tensing as he turns to face Nathan. He doesn't want to fight. Not now, not in front of Amy, but the way Nathan looks at him, like he's nothing more than a ghost from the past, makes his blood boil. "You think I wanted this?" Ty snaps. "You think I wanted to leave my family behind?" Nathan doesn't flinch. He doesn't care about Ty's reasons. He only cares about Amy, about Lindy, about the life they've built without him. And he's not about to let Ty destroy that. Amy can feel the tension thickening, the storm brewing between the two men. She wants to stop it before it gets worse, but part of her wonders, does she even have the strength? She looks at Nathan, the man who's been there for her, who's helped her heal. And then she looks at Ty, the man she once gave her whole heart to, the father of her child, the love she thought she lost forever. Her heart is being pulled in two directions, and no matter what she chooses, someone will be left shattered. Suddenly, the barn doors creak open and Lindy steps out, her small face streaked with tears. She looks at Amy, then at Nathan, and finally at Ty. "Are you staying?" she asks, her voice small but filled with the kind of innocence that makes grown men crumble. Ty swallows hard, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "If you'll let me," he whispers. But Lindy doesn't move. She doesn't run to him, doesn't reach for him. Instead, she looks up at her mother, waiting for an answer, waiting for Amy to tell her what to do, what to feel, what to believe. But for the first time in her life, Amy has no words. She doesn't know the answer. Nathan watches closely, his heart breaking for Lindy, but also for Amy. He knows she's struggling, knows she's caught between the past and the present. But he also knows one thing for certain. He's not going to lose her. Not without a fight. He steps beside Amy, placing a protective hand on her back, a silent promise that he's here, that he's not going anywhere. Ty sees it, feels it, and for the first time, he realizes he might have come back too late. Amy feels like she's drowning, trapped between the man she once loved and the man who stood by her side when she needed it most. Her heart is screaming in two directions, toward the past that she never fully let go of, and toward the present that's kept her moving forward. But this isn't just about her. It's about Lindy. Her daughter's world has just been turned upside down, and Amy can see the storm in her eyes, the confusion, the heartbreak. Lindy has always been strong, always carried her mother's resilience. But this is something no child should have to bear. Amy finally speaks, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lindy, sweetheart, you don't have to decide anything right now." But Lindy shakes her head, her small hands curling into fists. "You do," she says, her voice trembling. "You have to choose, Mommy. Do we go with him, or do we stay?" The weight of those words crushes Amy's chest. This is a moment she never prepared for, a moment she never thought she'd face. Ty stands there, waiting, his heart pounding. He's fought battles before, but none like this. None that could break him in a way no physical fight ever could. He knows he can't force Amy to forgive him. He can't demand a place in Lindy's life. But he also knows he won't leave without trying. "I'm not asking you to forget everything," he says, his voice raw with emotion. "I just want a chance to be the father Lindy deserves. A chance to prove to you that I never stopped loving you." Nathan's grip tightens at his sides, his jaw clenching. He's heard enough. "You don't get to say that like it's so simple," he bites out. "You don't get to walk back into their lives and expect everything to go back to the way it was." He steps in front of Amy, his protective nature taking over. "You don't know what it took for her to pick up the pieces after you left. You don't know how many nights she cried herself to sleep, how many times Lindy asked why her daddy wasn't coming home." His voice cracks, but he doesn't back down. "You don't get to rewrite history, Ty." Ty's fists tighten, but not out of anger, out of regret, out of pain. "I know what I've done," he says, his voice thick with guilt. "I know I can't erase the years I lost, but I won't walk away without trying." He looks at Amy, his eyes pleading. "I need you to believe me." Amy's breath shudders, her mind racing. How is she supposed to make this choice? Nathan has been there for her in ways she never thought she'd need. He's helped her rebuild, helped her find light in the darkness. But Ty is Lindy's father. He is the man she once gave everything to, and a part of her still feels that pull, that love she buried deep down to survive. Lindy suddenly stomps her foot, her small body shaking with emotion. "Stop it!" she cries. "I don't want to hear this anymore." Tears spill down her cheeks, her little voice breaking. "I don't want you to fight over me. I just want my mommy." The pain in her voice rips through Amy like a blade. In that moment, she knows. No matter what happens between her and Ty, no matter what she feels for Nathan, her first priority is Lindy. She kneels down, cupping her daughter's tear-streaked face. "I promise, sweetheart, I won't let anything hurt you." Nathan watches the scene, his heart heavy. He's never seen Amy look so lost. And for the first time, fear creeps in. Fear that she might choose Ty. Fear that he might lose her. But Ty doesn't look victorious. He looks shattered. Because he's seeing, truly seeing, the damage his absence has caused. And he knows that love alone won't fix this. The silence stretches between them, thick with unspoken words, with unshed tears. Amy finally stands, looking between the two men, the past and the present, two loves pulling her in opposite directions. But before she can say anything, Jack's voice cuts through the tension. "That's enough," he says firmly, stepping into the barn. His sharp gaze sweeps over all of them. This isn't a decision to be made in the heat of an argument. He looks straight at Ty. "You came back, son. Now it's time to prove why you should stay." The words settle like a heavy weight over them all. Amy doesn't have an answer. Not yet. But she knows one thing for certain. No matter what happens, everything has changed, and there's no turning back now. The days that follow are filled with a silence heavier than words. The Heartland Ranch, once a place of healing and warmth, feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for Amy's decision. Everyone is watching. Jack, Lou, even Tim, each with their own opinions, their own fears. But no one has more to lose than Amy herself. Every time she looks at Lindy, she feels the weight of her choice pressing down on her. This isn't just about her feelings. It's about her daughter's future, her happiness, and the stability she deserves. Ty doesn't push. He doesn't beg. Instead, he does the only thing he can. He proves himself. He throws himself into ranch work, helping Jack without question, rebuilding old fences, fixing broken stalls. It's the same way he earned his place at Heartland all those years ago, and in some ways, it feels like he's starting over. But it's different this time. He's not just trying to prove himself to Jack or Amy. He's trying to prove himself to Lindy. One morning, as the sun rises over the fields, Lindy finds him in the barn, brushing Spartan. She watches from a distance, arms crossed, unsure. Finally, she steps closer, her small voice hesitant. "Mommy says you used to ride with her all the time." Ty stops, glancing at her. "Yeah," he says softly. "Spartan and I have been through a lot together." Lindy shifts on her feet, chewing her lip. "Can you teach me?" Ty's breath catches. He wasn't expecting that. But he nods, a small smile breaking through the guilt in his eyes. "I'd love to." Amy watches from the doorway, her heart twisting. This is what she wanted for Lindy. Connection, love, family. But is it enough? Nathan sees it too. And deep down, he knows the battle he's fighting isn't fair. He loves Amy, truly loves her, but Ty isn't just some ex-boyfriend. He's Lindy's father, and no matter how much Nathan wants to be the one standing by Amy's side, he can see the truth written in her eyes every time she looks at Ty. One evening, as the sky turns gold, Nathan finds Amy by the fence, staring out at the horses. He stands beside her, his presence calm but heavy. "You don't have to say it," he says quietly. "I already know." Amy's throat tightens. "Nathan," he shakes his head. "You love him, and as much as it kills me to admit it, I think you always have." He turns to face her, his expression pained but honest. "I was willing to fight for you, Amy, but I won't fight against what's right for Lindy." Tears burn in Amy's eyes. She never wanted to hurt Nathan. He's been her rock, her safe place. But love isn't always about safety. It's about truth. And the truth is, her heart never fully let go of Ty. Even when she thought she had moved on, even when she convinced herself she had healed, a part of her had been waiting. Nathan exhales, running a hand through his hair. "I won't disappear," he promises. "I'll still be here, for you, for Lindy, but I can't stay in the middle of something I can't win." Amy nods, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I'm so sorry, Nathan." He smiles, but it's the kind that hurts. "Me too." And with that, he steps back, giving her space. Because love, real love, is sometimes about letting go. That night, Amy finds Ty sitting on the porch, watching the stars like he used to. She steps out quietly, wrapping her arms around herself. He doesn't look at her right away, but he knows she's there. Finally, he speaks. "Did I just lose to Nathan?" Amy lets out a soft, breathy laugh, shaking her head. "No," she whispers. "You didn't." Ty turns, and for the first time in a long time, their eyes meet with something that isn't just pain. It's hope. The next morning, Lindy runs out of the house, her face glowing with excitement. Mommy, Daddy, come on! Spartan's waiting! Amy and Ty exchange a glance, and in that moment, they both know. Their journey isn't over. It's just beginning. But what about Nathan? What will his future hold? And is Ty really back for good? Or will ghosts from his past threaten the family he's trying to rebuild? Heartland Season 19 has only just begun, and if there's one thing we know for sure, it's that the hardest choices lead to the most unforgettable stories. Share your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe my channel for more Heartland Season 19 updates. Thank you.